Hello there, Seraphim17 once again. This is my Call of Duty 4 Remastered Veteran walkthrough. This is the second mission, it's called Blackout. We begin good old Soap McTavish, Captain Price, and Gaz, the man from Cliffhanger, who plays the terrorist, who likes soccer, if you remember him. He's also was in like EastEnders and various other things, but we'll remember him for Cliffhanger. The iconic voice of the multiplayer. Headquarters. You know the name, you know the voice. There's a nice double kill. And this is going to be a slightly interesting walkthrough, which is a strange way of saying it, but it's true. I'm going to be trimming out a lot of the downtime and keeping in certain pieces of downtime in that I think are important. For the most, if I'm not engaging enemies, you're not going to see too much of it. I'm going to get to the point where we are engaging enemies, and it's going to alleviate a lot of the moments when you stand around. Because one of the aspects of this campaign that's definitely aged is the notion that you are always following an NPC, and you are always waiting for the NPC to complete an action. And I cannot argue with anybody who says that that part of the campaign has aged, because it definitely has. But it also has to be said, folks, that I was really scared when I was playing this, because I thought it was going to ruin... see that? You died pretty quick, but if that was COD 4, I was dead. And that's going to lead to a whole host of moments where I say if that was COD 4, I would have died. So whenever I say that, you have to take a shot, because that is the remastered Call of Duty Modern Warfare drinking game. And if you're like doing the Seraphim17 drinking games, you're going to be in for quite a few in this, because there are moments where I defy the laws of Veteran. As I was saying, however, I was afraid that I was going to dislike the campaign because we've moved so far from these humble beginnings. This was one of the first campaigns I've ever played that did this kind of spectacle and this kind of commitment to what it was in such a cool way that it's incredibly memorable. But nowadays, Call of Duty is planets collapsing on other planets, frigates diving out of the sky and crashing into towers, everything blowing up, nuclear warheads going off every 30 seconds, everyone screaming, everyone dying, everybody kicking. It's Michael Bay, you know, off his tits. It's just ridiculous. There's no context. It's just explosion land. And after coming away from that, I find that the pacing of this game and the way that it sets up its moments and its set pieces, I think it's night and day better. Because they matter now. They have a purpose. And they didn't before. And I think that that's what COD is lacking in a lot of ways. And this game nails it, and I really thought it was going to feel slow and boring and not that enjoyable, but on the harder difficulty where the game is a challenge and each of the objectives is kind of varied and different and there's different arenas, it feels like you have a point in going to the different areas. You're with you're with Price and Gaz for long enough that you can grow a relationship and understand how they function, because you're with them for that length of time. You play as that Marine guy who I can't quite remember the name of, I think it's like Miller, who gets captured, and then when you save him, there's that bond between the guys where you feel like these people have seen hell. You feel like they've gone through like the worst set of days in human history. And then you compare it to something like Infinite Warfare. By the way, this is a great example of why this isn't Veteran. I have vivid memories of these guys running down this hill and shooting me when I'm crouched behind this rock. I know this because it's annoying, because when you get shot on this game, you get view kicked to death. So you have to lay down and then get back out of cover, and the moment you try and shoot back, they kick you again. And I have memories imprinted in my brain of this sequence, and on this, I don't even think I get shot. That doesn't happen on Veteran. It can't happen. That if you are outside of cover and you see an enemy, you are going to get shot. You are already being shot, if not being killed. That's how the game worked. I'm not making this up, guys. I'm not misremembering. I'm not trying to make it out like COD 4 is the hardest game in the world, because it's not. But it is not like this. They have adjusted something with the AI, and I don't know what they've done. I don't know if they've made it so that they aim at your team more. I don't know if they've given us a grace period where they don't react the same and insta-murder you. I don't know what they've done, but they've made an unfair game fair. And when Veteran is fair, it's not Veteran. And this sounds crazy, doesn't it? But it's true, so take a shot. But as I was saying, Infinite Warfare is a campaign that had a lot of characters, and it had a lot of stakes, and it had a lot of things happening. But I never felt like any of it mattered, and I never felt like the repercussions were in. Look at this! Look at this! I'm not even in cover, I'm behind a sofa. A sofa that's barely cover. There's a ton of... Look how close this guy is! This is not how Veteran works. It doesn't work like this. It doesn't make sense. I don't get it. Take a shot. Look, look, look! Look at this shit! This is a game, guys. This is what they've done. That doesn't happen. Like, you do not go through Veteran without being shot. Veteran is the difficulty where if you get through a checkpoint with under 50 deaths, you did well. Or you were crazy and you got lucky. Because that's what it's like. I remember spending 3 to 4 hours on levels. In 3 to 4 hours, I was nearly at the end of this game. The changes are astronomical if you remember what it was like, and if you went back and played it. It's just unbelievable. One of the best additions to the remaster is the hit markers. You can turn it on in the menu, you can turn on hit marker sounds and hit markers visibility, and now when we shoot people it feels awesome. I really appreciate that change. That is a wonderful change, GG Remaster. But in Infinite Warfare, the game wanted you to care about these people, but you didn't spend enough time with them, and you didn't spend enough time in quiet moments with them. Because they didn't exist, because Call of Duty is always a second away from exploding. It's a lit fuse that perpetually leads towards explosion. This one isn't. This one has those slower moments, so it makes you appreciate it, because, as I've said in a ton of commentaries, the peaks aren't as high without the valleys, and it's necessary, and we've forgotten that, or at least the people making Call of Duty now have, which is why there are so many moments where, like, oh, a helicopter explodes, okay, plane explodes, okay, boat explodes, okay, planet explodes, okay, and it's normal now. We've solemnized these grand gestures that no longer have any grandeur, and that's not how it should be. They should have a moment, a point. Like, there's a point in this game where a nuclear missile takes off, and it has way more spectacle than anything that followed this game, in my opinion, because it means something. Somebody launched a nuclear fucking weapon. That's a big thing. Whereas nowadays, if the enemies aren't throwing nuclear weapons at you, you're not playing Call of Duty, so it's this weird sense of scope and exaggeration that's just gone straight through the atmosphere, straight into the stratosphere, and just, like, what the fuck? It doesn't make sense. I think Price is interrogating somebody as I'm shooting these people. That's kind of weird. But there's going to be a lot of storytelling during this one, because it's a special game, even though I think this remaster's kind of bad. So, back in 2007, this game was coming out. I didn't really know if I was going to like it, because I remember playing COD 1, and I thought it was okay. You know, it wasn't amazing, but I liked it, it was fun. Played it on a friend's PC. And then COD 2, I played on a demo in Game, which is a shop in the UK, if you're not too sure what that is. They had one of those booths set up, and I went in there, and it was a level from Call of Duty 2 on the Xbox 360. Watch out, 2 guys are going to rush you through this doorway. I like to pre-nade it, stun them, finish them off. Really, really good strategy. And never ever rush a doorway where there are enemies, because in this game they will rush you, and they have better reflexes than you do, because it's a video game and they're robots. So take your time. Try not to shoot your team, even though I'm going to shoot my team a million times, because that never changes in this universe. And I'm going to hop out the window in this next room and lay it down, because it gives me cover and it gets me a checkpoint, and then we can just push up the hill and get to the next sequence. Always use your resources here, guys. Flashes, stuns are really powerful in COD 4, because they work. They work wonderfully. The smoke grenade is one of the most powerful grenades you could ever wish to have, because it stops the AI from knowing where you are. There's me trying to kill Gaz, because I'm a little bit itchy on the trigger. And always use your resources. Always think of interesting ways to implement them, and make sure you pick up an AK. The AK-47, arguably one of my favourite guns in this game, in any game, because it feels like a workhorse that half the planet would use in a time of war. It feels meaty, it's got good punch, it's got good penetration, it goes through a lot of materials. You can kill people through walls in this game, and I recommend that you do, because it's the best feature about it, and it will give you a measure of safety that you cannot get moving through doorways. But back in 2007, played COD 2, I had a PS2. I was the PS2 master race, playing like God of War 2 and Killzone and a few other games, Onimusha 3 or whatever. And I had no interest in buying the next generation of consoles, because I just didn't think the games looked good enough. PlayStation had Resistance, which I thought looked cool, but I weren't buying a console for that game. It had a few other games on the way. You know, Xbox was just getting started, and I just had no interest. And then I played COD 2, and it seemed fun and everything, but I was so burnt out on World War games because of all the Medal of Honors and things. I didn't want to touch it. I really didn't want to touch it. And then Call of Duty 4 was coming out, and it moved modern. And just the idea of playing as the SAS, running through, with the gas masks on and the silenced MP5s, that to me was a dream, because I was obsessed with the SAS. I'd read a ton of books about the selection, about, the embassy siege and all that kind of stuff, and I was a big fan of the kind of modern militaristic era. So me and Aidan went to Blockbuster to get this game, to a local town, a township just next to us. There was a Blockbuster there. Blockbuster doesn't exist anymore, to give you some reference for this particular discussion. And when we got there, I don't know if it was for COD 4 or if it was for Assassin's Creed 2, but they didn't have it in stock. So we ended up having to catch a bus into the closest city to buy it from somewhere else. But we fought through a ton of adversity. We went at like 8 in the morning, we were so excited. And then when we finally picked it up, we went our separate ways. We sat down, we started playing. And it was one of those just mesmerizing epiphany moments of, this is the future. This game feels and runs and plays like something I've never experienced, and this is what games are possible. This is what's possible when everything comes together and coalesces into just this wonderful piece of innovation. And you knew it was special, even from the beginning. And I'm happy to say that it's still special, although somewhat diminished by hackers and age and subpar remasters.